I'm Ernesto Garcia, and welcome to another edition of Get Going with GEPAR. And we're glad that you're able to join us no matter where you are at, watching on any of the social media platforms. And of course, soon you'll be able to see this podcast on our brand new ELPASOTX.com website. That's right, ElPasoTX.com. The brand new launch site is coming up for our members through Growth Zone. And of course, it happens in just a few more days. So as you see that, you'll know there'll be new ways that members can get in touch, find out all their information. And of course, it's all streamlined as it'll not only be on the line, but it'll also be on your mobile device. Please download the members app plus and log on to the Info Hub to give you all the information. As always, we appreciate hearing from you, and we want you to be involved as well. If you know of somebody who we need to be talking with or something that affects our real estate area, please make sure to reach us. And all you got to do is send me an email anytime at egarcia@gepar.org. We're getting a chance to speak with Jennifer Wright, our good friend from TXDOT El Paso District. She's the public affairs officer, and I'm glad you're having a chance to join us. And we're getting the latest with the big project, of course, that is going on, especially on the west side, that affects a lot of our members, our brokers, and all of our clients that helps does business. We're talking about the latest developments with Interstate 10's widening project. What is the very latest, Jennifer? How's it going?
Hey, Ernesto, thank you so much for having me. The latest is pretty good news because we mentioned that this is about a 3.5-year project, and we widened the shoulders so that they could accept traffic, and we placed barrier on the inside where they're going to be working behind. So now we have the ability to just work behind barrier. The only closures that people are going to see coming up are those lane closures occasionally as we see trucks coming in and out of the work zone. But we came through a slew of overnight closures of I-10 in both directions as they were paving, placing the barrier at night, and then daytime paving to make those shoulders so that they would sustain that. So now we've gotten through the tough part, and this configuration will be in place for several months with just the occasional daytime lane closures, small areas, while for the safety of the workers. So good news on that project. It's going well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, should drivers be aware to add more time to get there to their destination from work, considering how many people are still coming up and on the highway, and that it's, two narrows, it's pretty tight, and I drive it almost every day, and I go, whoa, this is going to be a little bit, but I'm trying to add those extra minutes. And should you say maybe 5-10 minutes if you're trying to get from one destination, especially through the west side?
You are a smart man, Ernesto, because that is always a good idea to add a few minutes of padding, because you never know what could happen in there. You're right up against barrier. It's a little bit scarier. So what you need to do is drive cautiously and never be in a rush. So it's just good practice to always pad your travel time with a few minutes, because you never know what you're going to run into.
Well, I'll tell you what, it has been. I'm sorry, repeat that?
No, I was just going to say, the beauty of it is that it still has 2 travel lanes, which it had before we started the project. But of course, it needs 3, and that's why we're doing the project. So yes, there's congestion, the lanes are packed, and people should always drive courteously and cautiously.
Now, I know this is the big. Yeah, definitely. Now, I know this is the big project going on, but there's a lot of other projects going on around the area too. And the one thing I've noticed, even from I-10 and some of the areas on the east side, is speed limits are posted there. They're not suggestions. They're the actual speed limits that need to be going. We have a lot of construction workers and a lot of people that are out there, and they get dangerously close to seeing traffic. And when you're going beyond that speed limit, it could cause problems. How important it is for people to slow down in these construction areas and make sure that they give themselves the adequate time.
It's incredibly important. And in fact, through the I-10 Widening West project, the speed limit has been decreased. And people continue to speed, and speed kills. And people just need to realize that there's a lot at stake, and that if you want to if you leave your house 5 minutes late, you are not going to be able to make up that 5 minutes by speeding even 20 miles over the speed limit. 20 miles per hour is not going to make up enough time. You can drive for, 10 miles doing 70 instead of 60, and you might save a minute. So it really does not pay to speed. And in fact, the fatalities that we see are generally caused by speeders.
All right, we want people to certainly be careful, and most importantly, please slow down. Once again, this is Get Going with GEPAR. As always, we want to hear from you, and you ever have discussions or questions, please leave it on the comments below, or once again, send me an email at egarcia@gepar.org. School is resumed back in the El Paso area, and we have a lot of traffic coming in and out. Obviously, that makes things interesting. Buses are impacted. It impacts public transportation as well. What construction areas are going to affect some school areas and that people need to be aware of, and what schools and what areas around town should they be looking for?
Well, actually, we have projects going on all over town, and there are long-term lane closures in place on many, many projects. We have over 60 projects happening in the El Paso district right now. So wherever you live, you are probably being impacted. There are lane closures that are long-term lane closures in place on many of those projects. And so again, traffic really picks up when the school year begins. And yes, there are school buses there. And no, you should not pass a stopped school bus with the stop sign out and the lights flashing unless you're on a divided highway. But you should always be on the lookout for children, always looking both ways. Now, we don't have very many school zones on our highways, particularly, of course, on our controlled access highways, but we do have increased traffic, and it's noticeable this week.
All right. Well, please be noticing that as school gets back in session, and of course, you're running a business, you're going to try to go see a home. This is why you have to give yourself those extra minutes. If not, you're going to try to do too many things at once. And of course, it's just like texting and driving. It could kill, and you don't want that. I got to bring up
driving that point home. It's absolutely essential.
It's absolutely essential. Now, I'm going to bring up on the screen something here that's on the Twitter, which is where we will follow. We do a lot of retweets here. So therefore, if you're on our GEPAR tweets, you can. But if there's ever one that you want to be on, it's at TXDOT ELP. There's an I10 Texas corridor study that goes right from where we are here, right at the border in New Mexico, all the way to Beaumont and the Louisiana border. Can you explain what is going on and how we can be involved? And if somebody's got something to say, I have a feeling this is where they need to be.
You know, TXDOT has a very long-range, forward-looking plan, and we really look at like a 24-year horizon for our planning of our projects. And they start with these corridor studies. And we've done a lot of them locally, but this one is a statewide study of I-10, the mighty, mighty 10. The all-weather trade route for the United States is I-10. All the freight coming in from the ports of Los Angeles come in that way, or they come in through Houston, they hit the 10, and they disperse everywhere else in the country, because I-10 does go from Santa Monica in California all the way to, I think it's Jacksonville,
Florida.
Yeah. So it's through Texas. We have a lot of trade that's coming up through Mexico, and it's all hitting the 10 and then going from there. So it's a crucial route, and we are asking people to give their input on what their vision is for I-10, for the future of I-10. And through these studies, we identify projects, and then eventually those projects get funded, designed, and put out to bid. But it can be a very long process, but it starts with a study. We want to know the facts. We want to know how you experience I-10 and what you think is important on the corridor.
I think one of the things I would put a comment in, if I ever had to say, would be if we're going to do 3 lanes up all the way to the state of New Mexico, how about to the end of the county line as well on the east side? I think that would actually go well, even through the Fabens area, to get 3 lanes there, because you never know when you have.
We're actually to the end of the county line. We have the I-10 widening east that is nearly complete, and it goes from East Lake to Horizon, widening to those 3 lanes. But there's, once you get past there, there's lots of room for improvement in the rural areas as well. And the improvement can include things like IT services, Wi-Fi, better lighting, cameras out there. This is your chance to imagine what it could be. And you can find this survey at TXDOT.gov. Just enter into the search bar I-10 corridor study, and it will take you to that survey. And there's some prompts, and then you'll also, as this study progresses, you'll have further chances to comment.
All right. Jennifer, I love it when you come get a chance to speak with our members. I know you'll be coming back sometime down the road. They always love getting questions about when something's open, when it's going to be closed, and you'd be surprised how many screenshots are being taken during your presentations. So we look forward to seeing you back at our GEPAR offices.
Always my pleasure. Thank you, Ernesto. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
All right. We appreciate you joining us. And if our members have any question for Jennifer, I can get you in touch with her. Anything else you need to know, once again, that email is egarcia@gepar.org. This is our weekly podcast, and we'll continue it going next week. We thank Jennifer for joining us. And as always, we will talk with you again next time on Get